Have you ever faced rejection that felt like a punch to the gut? That moment when someone says no, when a door slams in your face, or when you're simply ignored by someone whose attention you desperately wanted. We've all been there. That sting of rejection can leave us feeling worthless, angry, and desperate to change the other person's mind. But what if I told you that rejection, this painful, uncomfortable experience, could actually become your greatest ally? What if the very people who rejected you could inadvertently help propel you toward a better version of yourself? Today, we're diving deep into the ancient wisdom of Stoicism to uncover powerful reverse psychology techniques that can transform rejection from a painful setback into a catalyst for personal growth and success. And if you stay until the end, I'll share with you an ancient parable that illustrates this episode. Now let's explore how to turn rejection in your favor with these powerful, Stoic-inspired strategies. 1. Master the art of strategic indifference. When someone rejects or ignores you, your first instinct might be to chase harder, to prove your worth, to make them see what they're missing. But the Stoics would advise a different approach. Strategic indifference. Ignoring those who ignore you isn't about being petty or playing games. It's about reclaiming your power and dignity. When you choose not to engage with someone who has rejected you, you're making a powerful statement about your self-worth. You're saying, I am worth more than this treatment. Every time you chase someone who has rejected you, you're essentially telling both them and yourself that their opinion of you matters more than your own. You're surrendering your power to external judgment. This approach works on multiple levels. Psychologically, it prevents you from pouring more energy into a situation that's draining you. Practically, it frees up your time and attention for more rewarding pursuits. And yes, sometimes it creates an intriguing effect where the person who rejected you begins to wonder why their rejection isn't affecting you as expected. In professional settings, this might mean continuing to produce excellent work after being passed over for a promotion, not to impress the person who rejected you, but because excellence is your personal standard. In social circles, it might mean genuinely enjoying yourself at gatherings without seeking validation from those who've excluded you previously. Remember that we are not talking about manipulating others, but respecting yourself enough to walk away from situations where you're not valued. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the most beautiful kind of revenge is not to become like your enemy. Your dignified response to rejection speaks volumes about your character. 2. Maintain emotional composure. Rejection often triggers a flood of emotions: hurt, anger, embarrassment, desperation. These feelings are natural, but how you respond to them makes all the difference. Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control external events, like someone rejecting us, we have complete control over our responses. When faced with rejection, take a deep breath. Feel your emotions, acknowledge them, but don't let them dictate your actions. When rejected, your brain activates the same pain centers that respond to physical injury. This is why rejection literally hurts. The amygdala, your brain's alarm system, goes into overdrive, triggering fight-or-flight responses that can lead to impulsive actions you later regret. But here's where the Stoic practice of the pause becomes invaluable. Before reacting, create a mental space between stimulus and response. Instead of sending that angry text, making that desperate phone call, or posting that passive-aggressive social media update, pause. Ask yourself, will this reaction align with the person I want to be? Will it serve my long-term well-being? Imagine you've been rejected for a job you really wanted. Your immediate emotional response might be to write a defensive email questioning their judgment. The Stoic approach would be to acknowledge your disappointment, perhaps even write that angry email, but save it as a draft you never send. Channel that energy instead into refining your skills. This emotional composure isn't about suppressing your feelings. That would be unhealthy. It's about experiencing them fully while choosing your response deliberately. It's about recognizing that while rejection may be beyond your control, your dignity, character, and next steps are entirely within it. By maintaining your composure, you demonstrate remarkable strength. You show that your emotional state isn't dependent on others' opinions or actions. This level of self-mastery is not only impressive to others, but deeply empowering for yourself. 3. Redirect your mental focus. One of the most powerful Stoic techniques for dealing with rejection is mental redirection. When someone rejects you, They often take up residence in your mind, consuming your thoughts and emotional energy. The key is to evict them from this prime mental real estate. Start by acknowledging the rejection. Feel its impact, but don't let it anchor your thoughts. Then deliberately shift your focus to activities and people that enrich your life. This goes beyond simple diversion. It's intentional reallocation of your focus toward personal development. Consider the concept of attention economics, the idea that your attention is a finite, valuable resource. Every moment spent ruminating on rejection is a moment not invested in growth, joy, or meaningful connection. Create a list of personal goals and take proactive steps toward meeting them. Start a new project or dive into a fresh hobby. Plan activities with friends and family who value your presence. As you immerse yourself in these positive pursuits, you'll find the person who rejected you gradually losing their hold on your thoughts. For example, if a social group has excluded you, rather than obsessing over why, channel that energy into developing a skill you've always been interested in. Take that pottery class, join that hiking club, or finally learn that language you've been putting off. The redirection isn't just about distraction. It's about creating new neural pathways that lead to growth rather than rumination. This mental redirection serves two purposes. It accelerates your personal growth, and it prevents you from dwelling in the negative emotions associated with rejection. As Cicero observed, the diseases of the mind are more dangerous and more numerous than those of the body. By focusing on constructive action in the present, you free yourself from anxiety about a rejection that's already occurred. 4. Demonstrate your value through action. When faced with rejection, many people try to convince the other person of their worth through words, explanations, arguments, pleas. The Stoic approach is different. Demonstrate your value through action. Instead of telling someone why they should value you, show them through your accomplishments, character, and growth. This isn't about proving them wrong out of spite. It's about proving to yourself that you are capable of greatness regardless of others' opinions. Think about rejection as fertilizer for growth. Just as plants can transform compost into beautiful blooms, you can transform rejection into motivation for remarkable achievement. History is filled with examples. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter manuscript was rejected by 12 publishers before finding success. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. These rejections didn't define them. Their response to rejection did. If you've been rejected for a job, use that as motivation to enhance your skills and achieve success elsewhere. If you've been rejected in a relationship, channel that energy into becoming the best version of yourself, physically, mentally, and emotionally. This approach requires patience and consistent effort. It's not about a quick fix or overnight transformation. It's about steady, meaningful progress that gradually reshapes both how you see yourself and how others see you. The beauty of this approach is that it works regardless of whether the person who rejected you ever recognizes your value. Your success and growth aren't dependent on their validation. As Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, the object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane. By focusing on demonstrating your value through action rather than words, you build genuine confidence that no rejection can shake. 5. Create healthy distance. Sometimes the most powerful response to rejection is creating physical and emotional distance. This isn't about running away, it's about creating space for healing and growth. If someone has rejected you, minimize contact with them. This might mean unfollowing them on social media, avoiding places where you know they'll be, or setting clear boundaries if you must interact with them. This distance isn't punitive, it's protective. Think of this as creating a healing environment for an emotional wound. Just as you wouldn't repeatedly touch and aggravate a physical injury, you shouldn't continuously expose yourself to situations that reopen emotional wounds. This isn't weakness, it's wisdom. The psychological phenomenon of emotional contagion reveals that we unconsciously absorb the emotions of those around us. By maintaining distance from someone who has rejected you, you protect yourself from the subtle negative feelings that might be exchanged during interactions. You create space for your own emotional regulation without the interference of their energy or judgment. In situations where complete separation isn't possible, like at work or in shared social circles, maintain polite but minimal interaction. Keep conversations brief and professional. This approach allows you to engage when necessary without reopening emotional wounds. Creating this distance serves multiple purposes. It gives you space to process your emotions without constant reminders of the rejection. It prevents you from making impulsive decisions based on hurt feelings. And it allows you to rebuild your sense of self independent of the person who rejected you. This distance also sends a subtle but important message. You respect yourself enough to protect your emotional well-being. This isn't about being dramatic or making a statement to others. It's about making a commitment to yourself that your peace of mind matters. 6. Cultivate a rich social life. Rejection from one person or group can feel all-encompassing, especially if you've invested significant emotional energy in that relationship. The Stoic remedy? Cultivate a diverse and fulfilling social life. Engage in activities you genuinely enjoy, whether it's sports, art classes, volunteer work, or professional networking events. These pursuits not only enrich your life, but also connect you with like-minded individuals who appreciate your unique qualities. This approach is supported by the concept of social portfolio diversification. Just as financial advisors recommend diversifying investments to reduce risk, diversifying your social connections protects your emotional well-being from being too dependent on any single relationship or group. Invest time in existing friendships and family relationships. These connections provide emotional support during difficult times and remind you that one rejection doesn't define your social worth. Often, the people who have known you longest can provide perspective when a recent rejection threatens to distort your self-image. Practical steps might include scheduling regular catch-ups with old friends, joining interest-based groups where you can meet new people with similar passions, or volunteering for causes you care about. These activities not only expand your social circle, but also remind you of your values and strengths. By building a robust social network, you create a buffer against the impact of rejection. You realize that your value isn't determined by any single person's opinion, but is reflected in the many meaningful connections you maintain. This approach doesn't mean using people as distractions or replacements. It means genuinely engaging with others, offering your authentic self, and building connections based on mutual respect and appreciation. When you have a rich tapestry of relationships, the hole left by one rejection becomes a much smaller part of your social landscape. 7. Transform pain into growth. The Stoics viewed adversity not as something to be avoided, but as an opportunity for growth. Rejection, painful as it may be, offers valuable lessons if we're willing to learn from it. Take time to reflect on the rejection without judgment or self-criticism. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How might this rejection be guiding me toward a better path? Perhaps a romantic rejection is revealing incompatibility that would have caused greater pain later. Maybe a professional rejection is steering you toward opportunities better suited to your talents. Or possibly the rejection is highlighting areas where genuine self-improvement would benefit you. Consider the concept of post-traumatic growth, the positive psychological changes that can occur following challenging life circumstances. Research shows that many people report greater appreciation for life and enhanced personal strength after navigating difficult experiences. By approaching rejection with curiosity rather than defensiveness, you transform it from a painful endpoint into a valuable stepping stone on your journey. This perspective shift doesn't happen overnight, but with practice, you can train yourself to see rejection as a teacher rather than an enemy. Remember that some of history's most significant breakthroughs came after rejection. Thomas Edison famously said of his thousands of failed attempts at inventing the light bulb, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Each rejection was information, a stepping stone toward eventual success. 8. Practice kindness without attachment. One of the most powerful Stoic approaches to rejection is maintaining kindness without emotional attachment to outcomes. This means treating the person who rejected you with courtesy and respect, not to win them over, but because it aligns with your values. If you encounter the person who rejected you, offer a genuine smile and polite greeting. Wish them well in their endeavors. This isn't about pretending the rejection didn't hurt. It's about choosing how you respond to that hurt. This approach is rooted in the Stoic principle that virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance is the only true good. By treating others with kindness, regardless of how they've treated you, you demonstrate virtue and maintain your integrity. This approach demonstrates remarkable emotional maturity and self-control. It shows that your kindness isn't conditional on receiving something in return, it's an expression of your character. At the same time, maintain emotional distance. Being kind doesn't mean reopening yourself to further rejection or compromising your boundaries. It means treating others with dignity while protecting your own emotional well-being. As Epictetus advised, remember that you ought to behave in life as you would at a banquet. As something is being passed around, it comes to you. Stretch out your hand and take a portion of it politely. It passes on. Do not detain it, or it has not come to you yet. Do not project your desire to meet it, but wait until it comes in front of you. This balanced approach of kindness without attachment allows you to maintain your dignity while freeing yourself from the emotional turmoil of rejection. 9. Embrace silence as strength. In a world of constant communication, silence can be your most powerful response to rejection. Not the silence of sulking or passive aggression, but the dignified silence of someone who knows their worth. When rejected, resist the urge to over-explain, justify, or convince. Instead, embrace silence as a statement of self-respect. This doesn't mean you never communicate with the person again. It means you communicate only when it serves a purpose aligned with your values. This practice draws from both Stoic wisdom and Eastern philosophical traditions that recognize the power of restraint. In Japanese culture, there's a concept called ma, the meaningful pause or space between words and actions. This deliberate silence isn't emptiness. It's pregnant with meaning and power. Consider how silence preserves your energy and dignity. Every explanation or justification you offer after rejection can be interpreted as pleading or desperation. Silence, on the other hand, communicates self-assurance. It says, I don't need to convince you of my worth. I know my value regardless of your assessment. In practical terms, this might mean not sending that long email explaining why someone should reconsider their decision. It might mean declining to engage in discussions about why a relationship ended. It might mean simply nodding and moving on when faced with professional rejection, rather than launching into a defense of your qualifications. This silence isn't about manipulating the other person into missing you or wondering what you're doing. It's about giving yourself the space to process your emotions and move forward without the burden of seeking external validation. As Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, reportedly said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen more than we say." In the aftermath of rejection, listening to your own inner wisdom often proves more valuable than any words you could speak to others. By embracing silence, you reclaim your power and demonstrate a quiet confidence that speaks volumes about your character. Now, as promised, let me share an ancient story that captures the essence of our discussion today: the ancient parable of the rejected stone. There once was a stonemason who was tasked with building a magnificent temple. As he examined the stones available to him, he came across one that was oddly shaped and difficult to work with. After several frustrated attempts to fit it into his design, he cast it aside, rejecting it as unsuitable. The rejected stone lay at the edge of the construction site, weathering the elements as the temple slowly took shape. Months passed, and the stonemason encountered a problem. He needed a cornerstone for the temple's entrance, one that could bear weight from multiple angles while maintaining the aesthetic harmony of the structure. After trying several stones without success, his apprentice suggested they reconsider the rejected stone. Initially skeptical, the stonemason retrieved it and, to his surprise, found that its unusual shape was perfect for the cornerstone position. The very qualities that had led to its rejection made it uniquely suited for this crucial role. The stone that the builder had rejected became the cornerstone of the temple, more important than any other stone in the structure. Its rejection had not diminished its value. It had simply delayed the discovery of its true purpose. Like that stone, your rejection doesn't define your worth. It merely redirects you toward the place where your unique qualities will be truly valued. The very aspects of yourself that led to rejection in one context may be precisely what make you invaluable in another. As we've explored today, rejection, painful as it may be, can become a powerful catalyst for growth when approached with Stoic wisdom. By mastering strategic indifference, maintaining emotional composure, redirecting your focus, and the other principles we've discussed, You transform rejection from a devastating setback into a stepping stone toward your best self. Remember, the goal isn't to manipulate others into regretting their rejection of you. The goal is to live so authentically and purposefully that their rejection becomes irrelevant to your happiness and success.